Hello, James. Hi, how are you?
I'm very well. How are you, Mustafa? Are you well?
I'm doing good. Thank you so much, first of all, for accepting our invite for our podcast. Let's talk about data. We are always hungry to find people from data background, and I found you finally to able to get your time.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, just for our audience, we have James Robson today with us from UK, and he has been doing helping charities and research organizations from this angle. Someone has joined us, fortunately. So James, normally we don't go and introduce our guests by myself. I normally let my guests introduce themselves so they can really, give the justice what they are doing and what they want to tell the audience. So, floor is all yours. James, tell us about yourself.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm a data protection officer and data sharing specialist, I would call myself. For the last 10 years, I've been working in data protection legislation. Initially, the EU General Data Protection Regulation. For the last 2.5 years, I've actually been the data protection officer for the UK Labour Party and recently set up a data intermediary service provider, which is data protection services. It's also the management and curation of infrastructure to share data that maybe you wouldn't have thought you could share, and especially for societal benefit and charities and research. And also a part of the business, it's called Datum Longevitus, the business, longevity of data. There's a consultancy side to it, which is advising researchers on how to get access to the data they need for their particular research. Because a lot of research these days, not just the UK but around the world, they spend a lot of time just trying to get access to the data, and
Okay.
the contractual bits and pieces and the data protection legislation, like 50% of that is taken up just doing that when it should be focused on their research. So we take that pain away from researchers. So yeah, traditional data protection officers of services, um, trusted data intermediary services, and then research access consultancy services. So that's where I am now. That's where my passion is. But I think I must have touched almost every sector in the last 10 years around how data is used as well. And it's just given me this sort of creative understanding of how best to use data. Anyway, that's a bit about me.
Now, that's a lot actually. It's not a bit actually. And if,
Thanks.
if we are talking about our current topic, just for our audience, it's about vibe coding in the future of humanity. So I have been writing on vibe coding for last couple of weeks because people have pushed me to go towards vibe coding. I don't like to code anymore. I've left coding like 15 years back. But whenever these new things comes like agentic AI came, generative AI came, being a Gen X guy, right, I have to do it myself. So I jumped in into live coding, and created a small product as well, which is live now. So I think your experience will really resonate in current era. When we talk about current era, we were all talking about AI, and when we talk about AI, there are two kind of AI. Our good friend Martin has categorized AI into two pieces. Like one is traditional advanced analytics, the second is generative AI and generative AI, and now with agentic AI coupled together. So advanced analytics, we all know is very mature, traditional machine learning, deep learning, XYZ, data science, XYZ. But new one,
Yeah.
which is generative AI and agentic AI, that has created a friction in the market, and people are very much reluctant because of generative AI failure. That MIT report like 95% project fail, right? Because of that, people are so much reluctant of using agentic AI, right? And
Yeah.
then the basic problem for generative AI was privacy and all those kind of stuff, right? Which I think you are doing a lot of work into it. So when we talk about those areas, suddenly this vibe coding come into picture, which allows everyone, a person like me who has created just a product without writing a single code, if I can do it, so many people can end up doing so many products. Now, this if I correlate all these together, then the policies and regulations which you were talking about and you are working on, it's all come into same picture, right? So let's start.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's start from data privacy challenge in AI world, and then we'll jump into our topic of vibe coding, how it's going to change the world, humanity. Considering these practices need to be very mature, which you are doing it. So let's start.
I mean, the big question is how much control do you have over either the AI, especially if it's agentic, and where is the data that you are placing into it? What data, why, or the basic privacy and data protection legislative oversight. I mean, why are you using it? You know, simply thinking about that. My thoughts around if we go to generative AI, you know, it's watch out for the outputs. Really, of course, we all know that now. But what is the oversight that you have on that output? And then if you think of agentic AI, because of the hallucination problem within generative AI, you may then ask the agent to do certain things on your behalf, but then you given access to that you own, that you have access to, maybe that you're paying for, and what are the parameters of use and access to those systems? You know, one of the biggest problems right now, especially in privacy, is whether or not the data going into the AI is being used. I mean, that's different use of the data than maybe initially telling people you're using that data for. I mean, you know, send calendar invites when I prompt this, when I write this prompt in this certain location, and send it to this group of people, and you don't have to go in and do it yourself. You know, an agent curating a group that you have for your ability to contact them. I mean, that's a different use of the personal data, and therefore, have you written that into the external notices and information that you're required to do so, especially under the likes of GDPR, or do you have consent? I mean, you know, especially in kind of India, there's been an update to the law there where most uses of personal data is based on consent now, and can you prove that you've gained that consent? And so AI is sort of the same as well, because you may use a piece of use a tool, a piece of AI, if you like, for a certain thing, and then there may be a downstream reuse that data that will be really helpful. Are
Yeah.
you allowed to do that? Have you told people that you're going to use their data in that way? Have you gotten the right consents or lawful basis, if it's EU or UK, the right lawful basis under the law to be able to use it in this way as well? And chances are you probably haven't, because you need to tell people that kind of stuff at the point you're collecting that data. Um, I
I have
I
a
mean,
question on
yeah,
this,
yeah, yeah.
exactly on this piece when you're saying we have to ask people, right? We all know that whatever product we subscribe online, it has 15 pages of terms and condition. Nobody cares to read it, right? When I say cares, even people who care, they are only 5%, less than 5% who can really care about it. Rest of the world don't care. So my question comes, even though we accept it, right? Even when we are creating an account, are there policies which can still protect us?
Yeah, I see your point there, and I think I'm going to reframe it very slightly around: are there policies that can protect us um, because they are 15 pages? I
Yeah.
think there needs to be like an intermediary type tool which um, then we'll tell you, is it compliant, what laws is it compliant up against, and just give you a very quick bullet point. It's almost you're going to use an AI to read it and then tell you which bits of this technology is or is not compliant up against which law, and then how do you get around that? Now, what we don't have right now is that sort of intermediary
Yeah.
step to ask, like, read this, check this, and surely that should be built into the code already. and you should have the ability just to hit a button and say, well, I can't. One, I don't have time to to read 15 pages. Number two, I may not even understand the language that's being used because
It's a
it's in
legal
some sort
language,
of
right? Yes.
legal language,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know. So kind of is a double whammy of not being able to understand how you're using that data or how they're going to be using the data. So there's got to be this sort of technical handoff, which is I'll only allow it within these parameters, within this legislative framework, because I understand that to be quite strong and I want to keep that strength. Or you go, well, I have a risk comfort level or that's not as high as GDPR, and I'm okay with that because I don't see any downstream consequence because of the uses of the data that I'm giving access to. Now that doesn't exist right now.
Yeah,
That kind of
so there are
technical
two,
handoff. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. There are two pieces. One is public sector, the other is corporate sector, right? Yes, in
yeah.
the corporate sector, we do have legal departments over there, but when there are hundreds of developers over there are hundreds of products being created. Now, generative AI and this vibe coding coming, which we will go toward that. A survey I read somewhere that in future organizations will expect each employee of an organization to bare minimum create 5 products in a year.
Wow,
So you see,
wow.
if there are 5,000 employees, people management will expect 5,000 products. Of course, they won't expect all to go to production. Let's say even 10%, 20% goes into production a year. So we are looking 500 to 1,000 products going into production. Now, when we are creating in a corporate, okay, let's first discuss public and then let's go towards corporate. Public means a traditional user like me who want to create a Gmail account, Hotmail account. So many AI products coming in, right? I go and subscribe, right?
Yeah,
How I can save myself? Reason being, again, the same thing. I cannot read 200 legal terms and conditions, and even if I read it, it's a very legal term. They can let you go from one term, maybe 89th term will catch you. So, so are there laws coming into the market? Are there already there that if your data is already out, you can still raise some concerns? How a normal user can get away from this kind of challenge?
yeah. I mean, again, the GDPR does have that kind of standard for individuals to raise that challenge. I mean, you've got a legal right to complain and a legal
Okay,
right to
there are
request
places.
for deletion of that data. So, I mean, that is written in there. But with that level of ubiquitous development, I mean, I'm talking about if you're saying what five new products per year per person. I mean, how on earth do you manage that? You don't have enough legal people to go through that. You don't have enough
Yes,
DPOs in the world to
absolutely.
check the data flows. So it ends up having to be a standard. One standard that comes to mind is the IEEE um, My Terms, it's called MYTERMS, which it has been developed as that technical handoff, but also encoded into the development of these systems as well. So it's almost well, the tool itself will check, and so maybe that should be a technical standard that's automatically built in no matter what,
Hmm.
because then it could theoretically, that standard won't necessarily do this completely, but um, I think the progression of that standard should be it will tell you, okay, you're non-compliant with this legislation in this country, but you're fine over here, and then it will maybe advise what other kind of things you need, what other legal things that you need, and possibly start to produce them. Also, with the caveat of saying have a legal personal data protection person as well.
Yeah.
So I think it needs to get in there because we just creating the loss of data um, without oversight throughout the world for it to be exploited, because that is what will happen. And there will be threat actors out there that end up monitoring and mapping every uh, use of our data in every location, wherever it may be. I'm sort of going off on a bit of a a dystopian tangent in some ways, because what's coming to mind is, well, what if it ends up getting or giving somebody access to all of your systems because somebody has built an agent, you've used it, and it provides a backdoor into your entire estate,
Yeah.
and then there's a piece of malware that is logging all keystrokes, turning your camera on without a little light to tell you it's on. You end up being compromised very, very quickly. It's almost like the John McAfee statements. So when he was alive, he always say never go to any porn sites because you'll have the drive-by malware downloading, and before you know it, you're completely compromised, and it's being exploited against you, and you probably don't know about it. All those kinds of things, siphoning a penny or 1 cent of every online transaction that you may not know about, and funneling that to different locations. So there's many exploits there, and I think the agentic stuff, if there isn't the right oversight, so they just end up delivering backdoors into just individuals' lives.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, I was talking to a lady yesterday. I'm going to have her. She is from UK and she is doing data governance. So what we were discussing is, I think as we just discussed, there are hundreds of thousands products coming. So legal won't be able to cope up. So we might end up creating AI products to do those stuff as well, right?
Yeah,
Now,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so now we have products which are problematic product. Now we have to create another product with the same nature to just solve it, right? So it means you have to go to the basics first, understand. I always bring data into it. I normally say AI is just a tool, just like any other tool. AI is just a tool. It's all about data, how you protect your data, and how you set up your foundations, right? So tell us about these things that automating, automating this AI things in data governance, in legal. What's your experience in your organizations, in your region? How they are coping up? Are they looking to create AI products to cater this kind of challenge, or they are still thinking, or they are still evaluating?
The ones that I've become aware of seem like it's AI that has been tacked on to another product, and so it hasn't been developed with AI in mind. And I worry about those. Again, it's well, you're only using AI to because it's a marketing spin, really, rather than solving a problem. Um, there is a big pushback right now, isn't there? Where everything from creative services to products, where if it's noting a use of AI, then there's an inherent distrust. And so there's a sales tactic, which is, well, no AI has been used in this product or this service
Hmm.
or this piece of art, as a differentiator from something that you may not inherently trust, but also feel like you're taking away work from people and their livelihoods as well. So there's a bit of that going on. But back to your question on, are there AI tools that can run the governance? I'm sure you can Google that in a moment, and then you'll find 100 of them. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
I've
yeah.
not, yeah, I've not yet seen one that does it in a way that is hitting a technical standard and a monitoring standard. The ones I've seen mainly are, it's an LLM that can write a good privacy notice for you, and even those I can spot a mile away on a website.
Yeah.
And the moment I do spot them a mile away on a website is when I advise a client not to use that company. It's that stark right now,
Yeah.
because it just conflates too many things, and it just says, well, if you can't get your privacy policy right, then how on earth are we going to trust you with the data?
Hmm.
You're using AI in a way that is making me more concerned about security of the information that you're saying you're keeping compliant and protected.
Hmm.
And I'm like, no. No, 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 you're not. You're getting the most basic things wrong. You're not having any human oversight. There's no
Right.
human in the loop reading this privacy policy that was generated by AI to to tell you that it was wrong.
Yeah. So now let's jump into, I think we have covered this part where we are talking about that policies and principles and regulatory requirement are there, and we have to look into all those things. Now let's jump onto our today's topic, which is vibe coding in the future of humanity. So why we are saying that? We all know that suddenly Gen AI came, agentic AI came. Now vibe coding come into picture, where we are just discussing like every organization will expect five product from each employee. There'll be thousand. So it's a reality, right? We can't run away from it. We will go forward. We are not going to get rid of vibe coding. It's here to stay, right? The only thing is to how to mature it. You have to be
Yeah.
very optimistic. Let's mature it. What do you think about this thing? How is going to have an impact on humanity in future? Let's jump into it. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a big extreme here, isn't it? I mean, we could jump on a tool that can help you build things. You can vibe code something, and you could literally go, well, solve humanity and tell me the answer to life, the universe, and everything. And
Yeah.
and we end up in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy that says, great, no problem, 42. And you're like, that's great. I'm glad I've got the answer, but it's just completely useless to me. So
Yeah.
you've got that one extreme, but then there's all the other little bits and bobs um, that we need to solve. That I think the vibe coding could have a real um, uh, opportunity to put into the hands of people that are creative enough and are willing to do a bit more reading around what they're thinking of building
Hmm. Hmm.
to then solve all the little problems that we do currently have. I mean, we're I think humanity right now is a bit hubristic. We think we're so advanced. We've created AI. We've, got all these amazing tools. We touch a piece of glass and it moves a screen and orders us food and
Mhm.
those kinds of things. It's incredible. Me and you can have a conversation. You're in Asia and I'm in the UK. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. But we haven't solved the fundamental things like
Absolutely.
everything from how do we feed everybody in a sustainable way throughout the planet. Now, what are the little local solutions that need to be in place to provide food to everybody that needs it within a city, within a locality? Well, maybe there's a data solution in there to go which supermarkets, for example, give out food at the end of the day because it's run out? How do
Hmm.
we collect that data? And then what needs to happen with that information for a courier to then go and move that food to the right people? And is there an AI vibe coded solution that can build that and make it a continuous looping um, solution just for that one use case? And here's the thing, we need to get far, far more creative around use cases.
Hmm.
How creative can you get and then go out and try and make those, but also have some A/B testing before deployment to ensure, yeah, the privacy of the data and people don't get harmed and you can actually live up to the standard that you'd expect your own information to be used in the first place. But what are all the things that need to be solved? Because it can be done. Technology has revolutionized humanity multiple times. Technology, even the wheel, fire, that's technology,
Hmm.
right through to language, development of cities, almost anything that Noah Yuval Harari has written in all of his books, like *Sapiens* and *Nexus* and things. We can. We just need to get more creative and have more time to do it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. When you talk about creativity, right? And we have been discussing that people will jump onto this vibe coding and people will end up creating it. But what I feel is creativity is not enough. You need to understand the basics. You need to
Mm.
understand the complete cycle, right? You know, there is always, whenever you start a new game, the first couple of few games you always win is a, what do you call it? What luck you call it? Beginner's luck, right? You,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
ask Vibe Coding to build a product for you. You say, "Hey, go and build a LinkedIn lookalike portal for me." So it will go and create it. But the moment you will start using it, the moment you will go and start productionizing it, then it's a black box for you. So until unless you haven't gone through, so if you are a single person, so until you haven't gone through the cycle of UI, UX, data modeling, data architecture, data quality, data governance, data lineage, you know, all those kind of,
You're talking about all the things that it's trying to take away,
yeah,
all that pain, saying like, just do that, and
yeah,
you don't have to worry about any
absolutely,
of that stuff.
absolutely.
I,
See, yeah.
yeah,
So there are deployment framework, there are testing framework, there is portal framework. There are so many. So the product which I created, I end up creating 15 frameworks, and there are more frameworks I'm going to create. So of course
yeah.
those are going to help me out in future. But the reality is, why coding is, yes, you don't need to learn coding anymore, but you need to know the SDLC cycle, a whole software development life cycle. Until unless you do not know and you haven't walked the walk, you might not be able to produce the correct thing. Yeah,
Here's one of the issues there, though. I mean, I think some of the people that will be vibe coding will not even know to ask those questions.
absolutely.
What are the right questions to ask about UX, UI, data lineage, governance, cross-border transfers,
Data sovereignty, big issue.
data sovereignty? They won't even know. They won't even have it in their mind to know that those are things they have to consider until it gets to a point where maybe they spent a lot of time, maybe a bit of money, hit deploy, and then nobody buys it because they have a little bit of understanding of those things. So yeah, I agree. There's a massive understanding gap, and so it's a gamble to begin to build, a vibe coded digital system
Yeah.
and try and make money out of it. And the people you're most likely to make money out of it, probably twofold. Unfortunately, dare I say, it's CEOs that see a quick way of making money out of people that wouldn't understand the potential risks of whatever platform or service they are delivering. So, make quick money, least friction, all that kind of stuff. And people that are just not educated on the right information. Like, don't double check. Just use it. Oh, this is a great tool. I'm gonna use that. And it is an education thing. Um, I think there's probably too much trust globally around using technology and trusting the outputs of technology. I think that's generally a problem. I mean, let's look at the case that's popped up with Meta in California. The fact that it's been found the design of the social media platforms does have harmful effects on people's mental health. It's like, okay, great, yeah, we've now got that in legal documentation. Somebody's won a case. That's quite groundbreaking. Now we're going to have that, like you said, on an exponential scale, every individual having five outputs if you're working in technology. Well, what are the mental health issues that could cause if that's one area, or the societal risks on deploying each of those as well? And is there ethical, the specific ethical reviews of how this could go wrong, should it over the long term? And how do we know as well? It's almost sets of sandboxes that we need to spin up and that will play out a societal gamified outcome um, from the use of your vibe coded tool. And
Yeah.
what is that? We've come up with yet another vibe coded AI tool as a sandbox to gamify the outcome of humanity of somebody else's vibe coded tool. It just gets the layers of inception and almost ridiculous. But down to that fundamental fact, I want every people say is this level of ease of access and use and development of these technologies. It's a bit scary.
Absolutely. And one more domain is really making money out of it. I would share with everyone marketing teams, there
Yeah.
are so many products in the marketing. I've jumped into a few products online and 80% product is not even there. So they are selling advertisements are there. Product itself is not there. So I tried to subscribe something. It was a gym exercise marketing ad. So I went into their forms, and
Yeah.
after three forms, I realized so it was around $10 something, $15 USD, and it was asking me to subscribe. There's a discount, blah blah blah. After fifth form, I realized it's a fake. It was $100
Mm.
actually. I realized it's a fake. Now what I did is I cancelled. Can you believe it jumped from $100 to $2? It says, "Hey, we are giving you a special discount. Buy for $2."
Yeah.
So a person who is not a tech savvy like me, they will say, "Hey, who cares about $2? Nobody cares about $2." People
Yeah.
would have so many people would have already subscribed. $2 doesn't matter. But if there are 1 million people who doesn't care, it's a $2 million for them. So
Yeah.
90% products itself are not there. But the other 10% products which are there, they have no terms and conditions, they have no privacy policies.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
people have to be very careful now how marketing is working. Ads, I don't even look into any ad anymore on social media. I know it's all fake. So, is
Yeah.
there any policies coming in? How do you see this is going to shape? Because again, as the example goes, who cares about $2? So, are we going in the right direction? How we can save ourselves from this kind
Yeah.
of
No, I hear you completely. I mean, um, it's bringing up for me the fact that there has to be some sort of trust pilot, 5 star or rating process that is outsourced to other people to be able to deliver that. But I also know that those have been debunked quite a lot because of the server farms and mobile phone farms that are used to deliver 5 star reviews thousands of times, even though the product and the service may actually be false and it's just a way to steal money from you.
yeah,
It reminds me of during COVID times and lockdown in the UK, there was suddenly a massive influx of new Uber Eats and Deliveroo food service manufacturer, just new restaurants really. All these new restaurants just suddenly pop up with these lovely photos. And what is it? It's one person with a barbecue in the garage trying to make money in their local
and
area,
maybe
but
he has 20 shops on top of it in the same guy.
it's got 20 shops. It's like actually it's just him, there's that kind of madness going on, and you end up getting something half cooked that doesn't have quality assurance, isn't it doesn't hit any of the trust marks or the standards for producing food properly. Is because there was an opportunity just to throw it out there and make some quick money by doing very little, and a lot of people made money. And well, how does that get stamped out over time? And you'll have governments and legal teams and data protection people um, playing whack-a-mole on no, that one, no, that one, no, that one. There's too many. I can't hit them all. Therefore, we've got so many exposures. So how does the individual then protect themselves? We're back to that original question, and we've already sort of debunked the trust score mechanism because they're too easily um, infiltrated with fake reviews, again,
Yeah, 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 yeah.
it has to be. Well, what two things? What is the trusted intermediary organization that is so transparent with what they do with you? It's almost like, we'll show you everything of how we do these reviews. Are you on the review list and what are we saying about it because we've done that review? Again, that's not great because there may be too many of them. The other one will be, what is the personal piece of code that you can own as an individual to ask and send over, hit this standard and send it back for review. And then I'll get my personal understanding of whether you are trusted or not, or whether this is real or not. I'm in touch with a guy that's got a really great idea around um, digital ID verification. I mean, in the UK, the whole idea of digital ID is quite contentious right now. But there is a problem with verifying the human is the human or is legitimate for what they are telling you or selling you. For example, let's take dating apps. How do you know the person you're chatting with is the person they say they are? And there's a whole kind of grooming problem going on around the world because of the dating apps. I mean, what is that handoff? There's the
Resume,
problem. Pardon me?
resume, resumes are big problem.
Resumes. I was just about to go there as well. Resumes, totally. I'm not sure if you see on social media whether they should be on social media or not is debatable, but the recording of an interview where you've got the interviewer saying, "Please, can you put your four fingers in front of your face so I know that you're not an AI?" And obviously, it's there for effect that the person or the AI can't do that, and they just do something strange with their hands. Like, okay, don't trust you're actually human. Um, so having that handoff between each other, I think as individuals and humans, are you a legitimate human? Are you legitimately working for a company that you say you're working for? And what are the markers against how you've used technology over the years to either scam people or not? And you have a trust score. And my mind immediately goes suddenly to slightly dystopian again, which is the Chinese social scoring process for allowing access to better services or healthier food or whatever. Eat more lettuce, get a higher social score, and you can go to the VIP lounge or sauna or something. Like a really strange set of principles that could come out of that, which I think especially Westerners probably wouldn't like that type of social scoring. But I'm not saying social scoring to that if you don't hit a social score, it limits your ability to live in the world. I'm talking about social scoring to say, well,
Mm,
are you a good egg or bad egg based on um, what you do and how you've done it over the years, and allowing other people to
mm.
have that reference point to work with you or not. As I say it and as I think it, I'm like, that's dark. That's strange. That's a very strange world. Almost needs to be where we're going.
Yeah, yeah. So we have only 18 minutes left. The session is going very good. Let's jump into it. Like, what is the reality and what is on ground you are seeing with the adoption of vibe coding? What's your experience around you? People are jumping. I have jumped into it after so many months and years. What's trend you are looking?
I'm not hearing of all that much. I'm
Okay.
hearing of, CEOs are building these businesses and becoming multimillionaires, but I don't know who they are. Um, I'm not sure how real that is. No, one of the kind of CRM tools that I use in my business, it had a vibe code this area of our CRM, and they sort of give you a license to have a go at that. And again, I did, and I spent a full day building something I thought would be great, only to realize that some of the pop-ups that I had vibe coded into it were shadowing in the background. I didn't know how to ask the right prompt to be able to bring them to the foreground so I could maybe pick a calendar date within the system I was developing. So I think it's still early day. Uh, I'm not seeing all that much that has been vibe coded that is in the world yet, or I'm really not aware of it.
Okay.
What? Yeah,
What about public sector? Normal users walking around on maybe coffee shops or events, are you hearing? So corporate world is yes, what we have discussed. What about general public? Are they jumping? Are they accepting this new breed of development tools?
there's desire, but I don't think they are.
Okay.
I'm not hearing it. I'm not seeing it. The questions aren't popping up in the data protection forums because it's generally the problems that come out of it will end up with the data protection people or the AI governance officers, and in the UK at least, the AI governance officers are from the data protection officers like myself. So there are use cases for AI that are popping up. One of them that I've helped an organization with the data protection and governance aspect of it, it was a system called NEYA, NEYA. Um, and they are a um, app-based platform that would help you introduce yourself and your skills to your neighbors
Hmm.
and without you having to do the direct introduction. And if, say, you had a step ladder that you can lend, you can put it onto this platform, just let it know that you have a pair of step ladders, and then somebody like somewhere else on the platform saying, I need to borrow a pair of step ladders. Anyone got step ladders around my area? The AI system wouldn't go, we're going to put you together. It's like, this person over here does. Let's ask them. The AI will ask them, would you like, and then you can choose or not. But this person doesn't even need to know that it's asked. So you haven't kind of, you've taken away the personal friction there. And you've made it nicer and nicer interaction. And then the AI will introduce the two people if they both match up. So it's those kind of things. But um, outside of use cases that are being built and have a bit of funding and a bit more legitimate than just being thrown together, I'm not yet aware of them in the public domain and being sold. I'm sure they exist. I'm sure those problems will come out, but it's just not there yet. And public sector, again, I think there's desire. I just don't think there's enough time to spend on it when, and especially in the UK, there's a huge budgetary consideration going on to not spend lots of money because the UK just doesn't have it right now.
Okay. Okay. Okay, we have around 10 minutes, right? One of the biggest challenge which I see in the regulatory bodies, either it's GDPR or PDPR or XYZ, in-house, they don't have the capability of data and AI folks, right? Because they are traditional, right? They're just like a legal people.
Yeah.
Legal people normally go manual. They're very traditional, right? So regulatory bodies, compliance, even in legal, do you think they have to change themselves and bring this flavor, maybe themselves, maybe bring external, not tech savvy foundation of data and AI savvy people into their organizations who can really help them out? Do you see these kind of changes? Because I do feel that's a challenge because when I sit in front of any regulatory body guy, our language is totally different. On
Yeah.
their side, they're
Yeah.
very fair, they're very scared, they're very to the book, by the book, and I'm very much latest technology, right? So do you think these things need to get into the this level of organizations?
So it's a good question. I do, yes. But as you're saying it, it's almost, well, are we just going full circle? This is what happens. There are
Hmm.
consultancies that come in, they do a project for you, they leave you with enough training and information for your already existing
No,
staff,
so see,
and then they,
external vendors, everyone have their vested interest.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
my
yeah.
challenge. I feel within the organization, they have to build their in-house capabilities. That's what I'm referring actually.
Yeah, yeah. No, I do. I think there'll be more of a burden on in-house employees rather than, we've an organization saying we've got this initiative, we're going to bring it, employ more people. It may end up being we've got this initiative. We think your utilization as a human working for us has gone down because of the improvement in efficiencies that we've given you for other AI tools. We now want you to be a bit more creative and develop something for us. So
Mm.
back to the whole argument of, five people delivering five things every year for forever. So maybe there is an argument there that because companies think that they need less staff, they won't necessarily consolidate to less staff. They'll say, we think you can deliver more for us, therefore we want more out of you, which is in the creative development and intellectual property rights that they would gain from that stuff. So I think that's probably right. And there may be a huge investment in training, not necessarily on the governance, but just on creative technical developments of new services that will aid the company. I think that probably will come up.
Adaptability, right? That adaptability is a big challenge in these kind
Yeah,
of innovations. They
yeah.
don't adopt because they push back everything. They try that whatever they can push back, better to push back. But I think that has to change because this AI thingy is not going away.
Yeah,
It is here to
yeah.
stay, whether they
And
like it or not. It they become maybe they end up becoming a Bitcoin. If you don't allow us our own
yeah,
entity, right?
yeah,
We don't
yeah,
want
yeah,
that, right?
yeah. It's really reminded me of, well, what is really going on in this day and age, and like we're recording on the 12th of June 2026. um, there's so much money being pumped into all of the hyperscaler large language models that we often think one of them is going to win. One of them is going to become ubiquitous. One of them is going to make huge amounts of money, even though they pump so much money in. Now, imagine that on a much smaller scale within an organization where they're like, cool, we've released this. Um, Efficiency within our staff already by giving them better tools. So you've got more time free. Why don't we have a pooled almost game to see who can develop the best tool for our company? And we have 10 of those potential tools being trialed. We don't worry if nine of them don't exist, but if one of them hits, then that exponentially, so you're gamble on who can develop the best products first that have the best utilization that people really want to engage with, and then go, great, forget all those. You go back to doing something else. We're going to run with this one and develop this one because
Mm.
it had the best output. So there's probably going to be a lot more research being conducted, and maybe proper specific market testing. Maybe market testing will be bigger than it is now. Maybe that sector will develop because of all these in-house developments. They think it's great. It's helped them a lot. They've been able to make more money. Now let's test it in a market, a wider market, and develop our business. Maybe there's a bit of that going on.
Yeah, because see again that then it's a comparison of who want to earn smaller, more, quicker,
Yeah,
and go away. I think this,
yeah,
with respect to all Gen Zs, they want to make quick one money, smaller, and they don't care they last for long. They want to last for a shorter time of period, make money, go away, bring a new product, XYZ, thousands of product. So I think on that mindset, you remember when we traditionally used to evaluate some product in corporate world, we used to ask, what is your product next 5 year roadmap? We used to ask that. Now that
yeah,
thing is gone. Nobody is
yeah,
asking that. I think that's one of the failure, and that's one of the thing which maybe regulatory bodies have to include that, hey, organizations, if you go and adopt new technologies, but if you're adopting a new technology, you have to make sure to check their accounts, finance, and their roadmap for next 5 years, because nowadays 5 years is huge life cycle. Product
Yeah.
coming and going in 3 to 6 months, right? So
And you got to support it. You got to keep up that support for the product. If people are
yeah,
buying it from you, like what are the terms underneath that? It's like I don't want it to, I love it. I want to use this for a couple of years. It dies in 6 months and there's no support for it, and then
and
I'm
there's a
left.
migration. There's a
Yeah,
whole migration kit over
yeah.
there. So I think we are right over there. We have last 5 minutes. It was a great session, James. I hope
I really
people
enjoyed it.
understand that vibe coding is not just open a window and start doing it.
It's not just for Christmas.
It's not just a, and if one is serious about doing a vibe coding, I think they need to understand the basics of data, basics of ethics, data quality, data governance, data architect. They need to understand all those things. Even if you make something, you have to deploy onto a server. When you deploy onto a server, you have to keep redeploying it again and again. So all those things one need to understand before they jump into the journey of vibe coding. So we have last few minutes, James. Tell us your advice to all new folks or those folks who are trying to jump into vibe coding. What's the last few minutes on for that?
Have a framework around what you are working on, and that is almost an advisory committee
Hmm,
to give you the pointers around that you've said. What do I need to think about if this is going to actually be something that could be successful? Might be useful to you
hmm,
right in that moment, but also be aware of how much time it's taking you to develop whatever you are developing,
hmm,
because there's there is a real balance here that you could be burning your AI tokens and spending a lot of money
hmm,
to try and develop something that one may already exist in the world somewhere, because a lot of this stuff does, and it's not necessarily based on AI. Um, and it gets in the way of further creativity. Now, it's almost a productivity hack. Analyze all your information, think about it, go over it. But actually, by just reading it and then replying in an email, you've saved yourself time because you're too busy trying to work out how to save yourself time.
hmm,
Watch out for that. I mean, I've seen that a lot, especially with very technical people. They'll come up with this great idea, spend loads of time trying to think it through and go over it, when there is a workaround that's a touch more creative,
hmm.
that just saves all that time. So I I'm not sure if that's something to leave people with. It's just have a governance framework. Have somebody you can rely on that you trust that's done it before. Have a mentor. I think it's that. Mentor.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's a great advice for all new folks around that understand the whole ecosystem of what you're building before you start building it because it's a recipe of failure that
Yeah,
you jump into a Ferrari and you do not know how to hit a brake, right? Right? Because
absolutely.
for me, running a car is not about how to accelerate, how to turn here and there. The biggest thing, how to do a brake. Brake is the biggest thing to run a car. So again, thank you so much, James. It's a pleasure. It was a pleasure having a session with you. I learned a lot of things that on those privacy and other stuff and regulatory body. And I hope our audience will also like it. I know I hope this is not our last session. It's a first
Me
session.
too.
We
Yeah,
should
first one.
repeat it. We should
Let's do
repeat it.
that. Let's do that. Yeah, I've loved it. Thanks, Mustafa.
Thank you so much. Have a nice day, James.
You too. Look
Yes.
after yourself. Bye
Bye-bye.
bye.
Bye.